Welcome to another video. We're happy to have you. As always, don't forget to like. Very, very important. And please subscribe. Like always, very important as well. It lets YouTube know they need to share our videos. But enough of that. On with the show. This video is from Lisa Lee and David Elsey, of course. Me, your narrator. Our story begins with David walking along the shore with Justin, his best buddy and bro. David just opened up a Corona and he's like, "Dude, the fish in here is great. We traveled so long to get to these mountains and this beautiful lake. You're not even going to go in the rowboat and catch some fish? I thought you were the fisherman. What's up?" Justin's like, "Nah, dude, I drank too much. I'm not going in the water. I'll drown. You go. And if you catch a big fish, you catch one for me too." And Justin leans over next to the ice chest, grabs another Corona for David and the fishing pole and says, "Here, dude, catch some fish. I'll sit in a lawn chair and I'll watch. As if I don't pass out." David just shakes his head. He's just like, "Really? You're not going?" He's like, David just shrugs his shoulders. He's like, "All right." And he gets in the rowboat. He knows the day is getting kind of long. You know, shadows are really kind of creeping in. The wind's picking up. But it's a beautiful 70 or 70-ish day in Northern California in the mountains. David starts to paddle out into the water. He's paddling and paddling. He puts a worm on the hook. It tosses that sucker in there. And it plops into the water. Kind of playing with the water with his hand, drinking a Corona, kicking back with his feet, kind of propped up in the boat. David just doesn't really have a care in the world. Kind of leans his hat back, just chilling. It's kind of a cold breeze coming off the mountains. He's just watching the shadows come in. Kind of peeks to the shore a little bit. Justin holds up his Corona, kind of up in the air, kind of like you would if you were kind of saluting somebody. Kind of saying hi. Holding his beer up, and Justin takes a swig. David's like, "All right." Then Justin isn't there. David looks back and the lawn chair is empty. David can't figure out. Kind of looks up and down the beach. No Justin. And then that's when he sees it. The little twitch from the pool. The reel starts to give a click, click, click in the cold breeze coming off the mountains. David sees the leaves go by the boat as the wind picks up. Click, click, click. David's feet are on the boat, stands up, fish on! As the boat wobbles and he almost falls in. Grabbing the pull, he yanks that line, the fish is on the pull, and he is reeling that sucker in. Or so David thinks. Whatever's on that line is heavy, and he ain't reeling shit in. It's pulling the boat. David sits down like he should have in the beginning, and it starts to pull the boat just a little bit out, more towards the darker blackness of the water, towards the center of the lake. David's kind of amazed at this point. He's like, "Holy shit, that's not a bass. I must have a big fish on here," kind of happy to himself. He gets a couple clicks in, and then the line just takes off. You hear that buzz as the line takes off. And he gets a couple more clicks, and the line takes off again. David's like, "You're not getting away." Tossing his Corona in the boat, both hands on the reel, like he should have in the beginning. He starts to click away, bringing that line in. And the boat stops going forward. And he gets a good amount of line in. Notice there's blood on the line. David's kind of not really sure on that one. Never really seen that. The shadows are growing longer off the mountains. Starting to get a little bit of a twilight thing going on. Kind of getting darkish. A little bit of shadows on the lake become big shadows. He's suddenly completely in the shadows. The lake's covered by the shadows of the mountain, which makes the water really, really dark. He can't see underneath the boat, except for yellow eyes. And then the boat lurches forward, almost like he had a motor on board, and lurches forward about 20 feet as David hears the water splash against the front of the boat as it takes off. David kind of falls backwards against a tackle box, and then it stops. David's like, what the hell was that? And then that's when he sees it. A scaly hand on the front of the boat, as he hears the scrapes from the nails as it lets go, splashing it back into the water. Something had a hold of the front of the boat. David, completely tripping, didn't know what to think, drops the pole as it goes in the water, just in shock. Didn't know what to think, what he saw. He's never seen anything like that. His friends are going to think he's stoned and he doesn't know what to think himself. He wouldn't believe it if someone told him. Looking by the side of the boat in the water, he's like, fuck, I dropped my pole. Oh man. Reaching for the oar on the side of the boat, looking in the water, that's when he sees yellow eyes staring back at him. That's about when all the color runs out of his face. And then he hears a thud under the boat. Something is hitting the boat. Something's hitting the boat hard. Looking back at the beach, Justin's still not in the chair. Dave's like, oh, piss. Man, this is not cool. And that's when one of the patches on the aluminum boat starts to break and water starts to seep in. David starts to pull the boat around as he gets his oar out, putting it in the water. But he's not making much headway. He only has one oar going side to side. He's taking more water in than he's actually going forward. Now his Nikes are starting to get soaked. He's like, oh man, this is not cool. And he's suddenly realizing he's probably going to have to swim for it. As the boat starts to lean to the side a little bit, it starts to reach the rim of the boat as it fills up completely. Now it's up to the seat. It starts to go over the side. Oh fuck, the boat is sinking. And that's when David stands up on the seat of the boat as it starts to go under. It looks like something out of a movie as the boat disappears underneath the tiny waves. David's standing on the boat. Now he's up to his knees in the lake. And well, now David throws the oar and now he's swimming. The boat is gone. David's like, oh fuck, not cool, not cool, not cool. He's kind of panicking to himself. Starts to swim to the shore. And that's when he notices things swimming around him. And the yellow eyes come closer. Something grabs his foot. Dave starts to yell out, Justin! Justin! Hey! And that's it. He's under. He breaks the surface again, trying to grab a breath, and that's it. Something has grabbed his ankle, and he is under again, and this time he is going deep. Something is pulling him in the water, and it's pulling him very fast. David looks up, and he sees the light diminishing as he starts to go into the darkness of the water. Seeing long things of seaweed, he starts to panic as he sees people tied to rope. Holy fuck, there's people tied down. They're tied down here. And that's when he noticed there's a rope tied to his leg too. And something is dragging him down. He sees mermaid kind of people with bright shiny eyes. He tries to fend one off. It comes close. And it kind of flashes its teeth at him. And he smacks it in the head. And the creature grabs him by the shoulders and takes a chunk out of his shoulder. Bites as he's bleeding in the water. He kind of blurps up some bubbles as he kind of screams. Trying not to scream because he only has so much air. He noticed one of those creatures have tied him to a rock. Oh, fuck. I'm tied to the bottom like all these people. It's like a graveyard under the water. And they're circling him like a meal served. Bleeding in the water. He starts to drown a little, looking around. He knows his time is up. He's tied to the ground by a rope, like all these floating corpses. Oh, shit. This sucks. As the last of his air escapes out of his mouth, he can't do a thing as they tie his hands behind his back. As he watches the last little bit of air leave his mouth, staring at the dimly lit light at the top of the water, he starts to notice the things with the trident coming closer, ready to eat him. At the beach, Justin grabs a Corona out of the cooler, kind of looking at the water, seeing bubbles and no rowboat. Justin kind of smiles to himself. He's like, that putz. He shouldn't have got in the way of me and Jennifer. Maybe then I wouldn't have had him have my family kind of take care of his ass. That's alright, David was an asshole anyways. As he blinks side to side, and the last of the sun coming off the mountains over the darkened lake, you can see the little bit of a yellow shine in his eyes as he smiles, showing his second row of teeth in his mouth. He just thinks to himself, yeah, Jennifer's gonna be tasty, as he pulls a dagger from behind, kind of tucked in his belt loop, walking towards Jennifer, kind of savoring the meal to come. We hope you enjoyed tonight's story. Don't forget, we got more stories to come. Please hit that like button. It's very, very important. And if you have any comments, don't be shy. We like comments. Just make sure they're decent. We like constructive criticism. And that's about it for tonight. Have a good night.